This did not go the way I thought it would. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this non-alcoholic sparkling cider aside, save it for another day to celebrate, which could be in a couple of days because it's my 1 year anniversary of moving to Sacramento. I know you don't care, but let's get into this Q2 results report and Q&A, and I've noticed 5 things that kind of surprised me and even in some ways shocked me. I'm sure you'll feel that way. I don't think anybody's seen a couple of them coming, so let's get going right now. Taking over the world. Electrifying the world. E4 Electric. Welcome to E4 Electric, your number one source of unbiased electric car news. If this is your first time here, go ahead and click on that subscribe button and of course the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. Oh, okay, all right. So for the last few hours, I was reading the report. I was listening to this whole Q&A session, and it was interesting. But the biggest news that I thought would be the biggest news from the very beginning, which is the big loss, was not the biggest news that I expect. I'm a little shocked. Now, in the beginning, Elon gave a lot of props to Motor Trend magazine because they gave them a lot of props, and he actually spent a significant amount of time on this, kind of kissing their butts because I don't know, it was weird. I really don't like when he favors one publications over others. As a matter of fact, I think he is getting into mainstream media a little bit more than he probably should, even though he's the one who's always complains about mainstream media. I mean, Motor Trend is as mainstream as it gets, I think, for our industry, but whatever. Let's move on to the biggest shock here. And after the original remarks during the Q&A session and before the actual questions, Elon said that he wanted to talk to us about something. We're like, oh, are our parents breaking up? And they are actually. JB Strobel is essentially stepping down. Now, he's no longer going to be CTO. As a matter of fact, I think he already changed his LinkedIn profile, but he is going to be moving into the position of an advisor, and so he's not going anywhere until for now, at least for now. And he also kind of made sure that he mentioned that I'm not disappearing. I'm going to be around. I'll visit you guys on weekends and stuff. So, in this, Drew, which is Drew Baglino, who is vice president of technology, is taking over now. He's been at Tesla since like 2009, I think, or 2000. Like he's been there for a while, so this is a veteran. I'm not really that worried. And as a matter of fact, he has a pretty cool story because he started as a firmware engineer, so that's pretty cool. He kind of climbed all the way to the top as a CTO. Now, here's the thing, JB and a lot of people who are close to the whole executive part of the core of Tesla, and a lot of observers, and pretty much everybody agrees that Elon is a front man, and of course he's an innovator and all of that good stuff. But as he's tweening around and sleeping in a factory and does all of that stuff, JB has been the consistent sort of a steady force behind Tesla. He's the one, and Elon said that in his remarks that if it wasn't for him, Tesla probably wouldn't have existed now, and I think everybody would agree. So this is kind of sad, and Elon was pretty sad. You should have heard his voice. So like I think if Grimes would break up with him, he probably would not sound as sad. It was like, I can't believe you're breaking up with me type of a thing. So, but it is what it is. I've asked a few people around, and it looks like this is not like the rest of the executives that are kind of either tired of Elon or don't spend any time with their families and they go to other companies or their projects where they have more control or more money or whatever. No, I think he's just kind of done. I mean, he's been there for a long time. He kind of took this company to the successful company that it is right now. And he just wants to kind of slowly fade away and maybe have his own life and maybe have a second career. I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of takes a few years off and then starts something new. So I don't think this reflects badly on the company. But losing him is definitely a pretty big loss, in addition to all of other executives that they lost. So yeah. Now, let's talk about the big loss, the money loss, and Tesla lost $408 million this quarter. The numbers were kind of the expectation was 300 million, but I gotta tell you, even that, when I looked at it, I was like, oh, there's no way they're gonna lose 300 million. Now that we know they've delivered almost 100,000 cars in one quarter, this is record amounts. How in the world can they lose even 300 million? I thought it would be pretty close, within 100 million of plus minus, but I don't know what the hell they're spending money over there. Couldn't be office supplies, but that money is going somewhere, and I'm a little bit confused. Now the revenue was pretty close at a little over $6 billion. The loss per share was pretty much double of what was expected. Obviously, it's a loss, and I don't really get it. Now at the same time, they give us all this information how and this is from their report here, Model 3 once again the best selling premium vehicle in the US, outselling all of its gas powered equivalent combined. They gave us this really nice chart over here, and indeed, I mean, this is insane that the Mercedes C-Class, Audi A4, Lexus IS, and BMW 3 Series, as a matter of fact, I think they also included the 4 Series as well, that they outsold all of them, together at the same time. So I think that's crazy. I think that's amazing news. And they also said that the Model 3 average selling price was stable at approximately $50,000. I think that's good news. Now, obviously, the margins is what everyone was concerned about, and I thought that all of these people who were still on the waiting list, right? Remember, there was 400,000 people on the waiting list, and most of the Model 3 purchases were from non-reservation holders, so there should be 200,000-300,000 on that reservation list, and I kind of thought that all of them were waiting for the $35,000 version, right? And they would have all jumped on it, but looks like that's not the case. I mean, $50,000, that's way above the $35,000 version. Now, there's another interesting quote there. I don't think anybody noticed, but I did. I thought it was weird. So it says, all manufacturing equipment in Fremont has demonstrated capability of 7,000 Model 3 vehicles per week run rate, which we continue to work to increase. So this is funny phrase type of right? It said that equipment has demonstrated capability of making them, but I thought they were already making 7,000 cars per week. As a matter of fact, that's the rate I thought they achieved a couple of months ago. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like saying that, like, I've demonstrated the capability of having a 1 million subscriber channel, but it just hasn't happened altogether. You know what I mean? So I don't get it. But they're saying that they're working towards 10,000 cars altogether per month, and especially by the end of the year, once the Shanghai factory goes in effect. It looks like everything's going great over there. It looks like they're setting up Model Y in Fremont and Model 3 in Shanghai. So all of that is really cool. Now, Elon gave an interesting perspective here, and I think this is pretty honest. He basically said that he expects that Q3 that they will still be even, which means probably a little bit of a loss. Then Q4, he said they'll be profitable, but then he said Q1 will once again is going to be tough. And this could probably be because the tax credit here in the United States is going away completely. As a matter of fact, one of the analysts that called in and asked a question saying, hey, do you think you sold so many Model 3s this quarter because that tax rate was phased out for the second time at the end of June? And he said, I've noticed that 70% of Model 3s that were sold were all sold in the United States. Only 30% was from Europe and China sales, which I'm actually was surprised at. Elon was kind of danced around, but at the same time, that's probably what's going to happen at the end of this year when the tax credit goes away completely. And then, of course, January and February are usually tough months for electric car sales just altogether. And then he said that Q1 is going to be tough, Q2 is still going to be tough, but not as tough as this one, and then Q3 is just going to be amazing. So that was kind of weird. He's just like, yeah, well, but the Q3 so in a year and 3 months, we're definitely going to kick butt. And that's fine, because a lot of stuff that you could see in the report is that they're really just trying to expand right now. Really Amazon type of a route. They're trying to expand, and expansion expenses are kind of overpowering the need to make profit. And I'll tell you why, because that's my number 3. Now, this is where there's a couple of surprises that were awesome. So not all is lost. Before I get to that, of course, a quick reminder that this video and this channel is sponsored by Byton. Check out their all-electric SUV called M-Byte, coming to the US, coming to Europe at the end of the next year, starting at only $45,000. The reservation is $0, about 1 minute of your time. Not sure why you haven't made that reservation yet. There's a link in the description of this video, so have a good time and reserve your button today. Okay, so number 3, and this is a big deal if you ask me, because
Tesla theme, and
Elon was
there's
really
been a lot
calm.
of
Like, he was all like acting
speculation as
as,
to
oh, was that a sound that I forgot to turn off? Okay, I'm gonna start over then. Technical difficulties. So Elon was acting like an adult. Like he in the beginning, you could even hear that he was reading a scripted text, which I don't think ever happened before. He was very calm. He was giving very general answers. This is how I want CEO to be. He didn't give us anything that was crazy or overpromised or whatever. So maybe. All right, no. But I thought that was third most surprising thing, because this is how I think we just want him to be at all times, and I think how, maybe we is a vague term, but I think a lot of investors would, and I'm not an investor, but including myself, I think that type of a sort of a behavior is really good. Now let's get to number 4, and this is the fact that apparently Tesla is sitting on a humongous pile of cash. They say we ended the quarter with $5 billion in cash and cash equivalents, the highest level in Tesla's history. So let's put in perspective their loss, right? So the $408 million loss. By the way, they lost over $700 million in Q1. Even that together, if they will continue losing for 300-400 million a quarter, that will still last them over 3 years, and that's a very long time, especially in the electric car Tesla years. So that is, I would say, really good news, because it is a big pile of cash. So I definitely, I gotta tell you, that was my number 1. And in the beginning, I said that was going to be my number 1, and just kind of slipped to number 4 because of everything else that happened. But they definitely appear to be pretty proud of that. And by the way, they were also talking about the margins. The margins are about 19% overall, I guess they've mentioned. So that was definitely something I did not expect. So those 4 things that already kind of, I would say, balance each other out. I mean, again, JB leaving, I don't know, but okay. So now let's get to the 5th thing, and before that, of course, I want to give a quick shout out to one of my newer Patreon Reach Letterers. Thank you so much for participating in my Feed a YouTuber program. Just for $5 a month, you can provide food, shelter, and video equipment to this guy over here. And if you would like to do that, go to patreon.com/E4Electric. You can find that in the description of this video. All right, so I think the 5th thing that I was overall surprised by in this in this report is that, what I've already mentioned, that how well Model 3 is doing just in general, right? I think Elon mentioned during the call is that this year, the last, I believe, year, they sold the same amount of Teslas as they've sold all those years before that, and of course that's basically thanks to the Model 3. He was talking about the demand. He was basically saying that demand is still there and that they're still selling it. Of course, he has to say that, but it does look like the demand is still there. They're selling all of the cars that they're making, correct? So will it continue? Because every time there was a demand, there was an expansion to new areas. So I think Q3 and Q4 will definitely let us know if there's really a demand for the Model 3. But just judging by the fact that people are still buying them, the average price of $50,000, I would say that there is still definitely a demand, because if there wouldn't be, that probably would be falling closer to 35,000, 40,000. So to me, that's definitely a big deal. So those are 5 surprises that I would have to mention here. Let me know if you've seen something that I might have mentioned, or something that was surprising to you that maybe wasn't for me. But overall, I gotta say, this is not a bad quarterly report. Again, sorry to see JB go. The loss is bigger than we thought, but then they have a lot of cash, so that to me kind of balances each other out. But the Model 3 sales and the whole all new and improved Elon, at least for the time being, is definitely good news. Don't forget to subscribe to our VIP list, where we give you a bonus story every Saturday usually, but definitely every weekend. That's something that you can find for free in the description of this video. Or you can go to e4electric.com/VIP. All right, guys, I am looking forward to your comments. Let me know what you thought. Are you more worried, less worried? You're gonna invest, not invest? Let me know. Other than that, see you next time, and remember to stay charged.